salt of weak acid and strong base. Salt of weak acid and strong base. Now here, which is the weak? Acid is the weak and base is the strong. Therefore, nature of this salt, aqueous solution of this salt is the basic. Now let me explain. Consider any one of these salt of weak acid and strong base. Suppose, as we take the one of the example, sodium acetate. So consider the sodium acetate. It is the salt of weak acid and weak base. Which is the weak acid? Acetic acid is the weak acid. Weak acid and NaOH, sodium hydroxide, is the strong base. आणि म्हणून या सॉल्टला काय म्हणायचं आपल्याला? Salt of weak acid and strong base. Now consider its hydrolysis. CH3 C double bond O, CH3 CO Na. This is the sodium acetate. React with water. It gives CH3 COH and then NaOH. कुठलाही सॉल्ट वॉटर सोबत रिॲक्ट झाल्यानंतर तो काय देईल? ॲसिड आणि बेस. दिस इज द सॉल्ट. सॉल्ट असल्यामुळे तो स्ट्रॉंग इलेक्ट्रोलाइट आहे. दिस इज द ॲसिड, बट व्हॉट टाइप ऑफ ॲसिड? वीक ॲसिड. आयोनाइज इन टू स्मॉल एक्सटेंट. इट इज द स्ट्रॉंग बेस. हे तुम्हाला माहीत आहेत एक्झाम्पल, ते ओळखता येत नाही. आणि व्हेरी फ्यू एक्झाम्पल्स ऑफ स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड आणि स्ट्रॉंग बेस. Salt असल्यामुळे represent its dissociation. It dissociation completely CH3CO minus and Na plus, aqueous, water, H2O, weak electrolyte, keep as it is. Weak acid, ionize into very small extent, also keep as it is. But this NaOH is strong base. आणि त्यामुळे याचं डिसोसिएशन आपल्याला दाखवायला लागेल, बिकॉज इट अंडरगोज कम्प्लिटली आयोनायझेशन ऑर डिसोसिएशन. Na प्लस aqueous, OH minus aqueous. Now, which are the common ions? Na plus get cancel. What is remaining? CH3CO minus, aqueous, react with H2O, that gives CH3 COH and then OH minus, aqueous. So this final solution containing OH minus ion, and presence of OH minus ion represent the basic nature. So what is nature of this solution? Is basic nature. This solution is basic. So here anion undergoes hydrolysis. Hydrolysis म्हणजे काय? Cation or anion or both the ions of salt react with water to produce acidity or basicity. Here anion react with water to produce basicity, and such type of salt undergoes hydrolysis. What is the nature of this salt? Basic in nature. And what is its pH? Its pH is greater than 7, or its pOH is less than 7. And its concentration of OH minus ion is also greater than 10 raised to minus 7. So this is the solution. Its nature is basic. याचं नेचर काय असणार आहे? बेसिक असणार आहे. and this type of hydrolysis is known as the anionic hydrolysis. So anionic hydrolysis, cationic hydrolysis is acidic in nature. Anionic hydrolysis is basic in nature. So this type of hydrolysis is known as the anionic hydrolysis. And what is the nature of salt of weak acid and strong base? Its nature is basic. So this is the third type of salt. So any salt which is the salt of weak acid and strong base. What is strong here? Base. Therefore nature of this salt is basic. And now fourth and very interesting point, तो कुठला आहे? सॉल्ट ऑफ वीक ॲसिड अँड वीक बेस. इथं तर दोन्ही सुद्धा काय आहेत? वीक आहेत. मग आता सॉल्ट ऑफ weak acid, salt of weak acid and weak base. Is it undergoes hydrolysis or not? Yes, it undergoes hydrolysis because nature of the solution may be acidic, may be basic, or may be neutral. So fourth type of salt, which is that fourth type of salt, salt of weak acid and weak base. Salt of weak acid and weak base. Salt of weak acid and weak base. Now salt of weak acid and weak base, मी आत्ताच काय सांगितलं, what is its nature? May be acidic or may be basic or it may be neutral, which is depends on relative strength, relative strength of acid and base. It depends on relative strength of acid and base. In fact, it depends on K and Kb, dissociation constant of acids and bases. Now let me consider general example. So consider one of the salt. In general, it is any type of, means that is the BA, it is general salt. What is the type of this salt? It is the salt of weak acid and weak base. Salt of weak acid and weak base. Now this salt of weak acid and weak base, what happen? React with water. As it is react with water, BA with water, H2O, it gives, that is BOH, and it gives the HA. What is? It is the salt, this is the base, weak base. What is this? It is the weak acid. What is nature of this salt? What is nature of this salt? So let's आत्ताच मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं, what is nature of this salt? Nature of this salt, it may be the acidic, it may be the basic, or it may be the neutral. That is depends on relative strengths of acid and base. For example, if Ka is greater than Kb, in fact both are weak, but generally K म्हणजे या केसमध्ये जर आपण असं म्हटलं K greater than Kb, nature of this solution is acidic. If K less than Kb, its nature is basic, and K equal to Kb, what is its nature? It is the neutral. म्हणजेच काय, this solution first case मध्ये salt of strong acid and strong base मध्ये, salt of weak acid and weak base मध्ये, here relative strength of acid or acid comparatively more stronger than the base. दोन्ही weakच आहेत, परंतु comparison मध्ये acid थोडंसं जास्त strong आहे, म्हणून solution होईल acidic. Here the comparatively base is more stronger, म्हणून nature is basic, आणि इथं दोघांची स्ट्रेंथ कशी आहे, सेम आहे, म्हणून हे काय असणार आहे, न्यूट्रल. K equal to Kb. It is general example. Now we see actual example by considering the three different salt, which are salt of weak acid and weak bases. In that first one consider the ammonium fluoride. Ammonium fluoride, it is the salt of weak acid and weak base. Ammonium fluoride, here weak acid is the HF and weak base is the NH4OH. Now see this one. Mata काय होईल, NH4F, ammonium fluoride, react with water, it gives NH4OH and HF. NH4OH and HF. This NH4F, what is this? It is the salt. What is this? Weak base. What is this? Weak acid. This salt NH4 plus aqueous, and then F minus aqueous, H2O. Salt is strong electrolyte म्हणून आपण dissociation दाखवतोय. NH4OH and HF. But see here what happened. Dissociation constant of weak acid Ka. What is this value? 7.2 into 10 raised to minus 4. And dissociation constant of NH4OH Kb 1.8 into 10 raised to minus 5. So remember this value. म्हणजे ह्या व्हॅल्यू माहीत असाव्यात कंपॅरिझनसाठी. सो के मग आता या ठिकाणी काय, डेफिनेटली ॲसिड इज वीक, बेस इज वीक. बट कंपेअर जर आपण केलं तर डिसोसिएशन कॉन्स्टंट ऑफ ॲसिड इज ग्रेटर दॅन द बेस. म्हणून काय म्हटलंय आपण हिअर, ॲसिड इज स्लाइटली स्ट्रॉंगर दॅन द बेस. आणि ॲसिड जर स्ट्रॉंगर असेल सो व्हॉट इज नेचर ऑफ दिस सोल्युशन? ॲसिडिक. म्हणून लक्षात ठेवा NH4F अमोनियम फ्लोराइड, although it is salt of weak acid and weak base, but its nature is acidic. Very simple reason, because Ka is greater than Kb आणि म्हणून सोल्युशनचं नेचर काय असेल? ॲसिडिक असेल. सो दिस इज द one of the salt which is the weak acid and weak base. Now second example, that is same weak acid and weak base. NH4F, it is the ammonium fluoride. Then second is the NH4Cn, ammonium cyanide. Ammonium cyanide, it is also same type of salt, salt of weak acid and weak base. It is the salt of weak acid and weak base. Weak acid and weak base. Which is the weak acid? HCl. Which is the weak base? NH4OH. Simple. NH4Cn react with water or in water, it gives NH4OH, ammonium hydroxide, and then HCl, hydrogen cyanide. It is salt. It is salt. It is weak base. It is weak acid. Salt undergoes dissociation, NH4 plus and Cn minus, then H2O, both are weak, NH4OH and HCl. What is nature of this solution? Acidic or basic? Definitely depends on relative strength of acid and base. That is also depends on value of K and Kb. ते कशावर डिपेंड असेल? K आणि Kb व्हॅल्यूवरती असेल. मग आता K आणि Kb व्हॅल्यू, सो व्हॉट इज द K व्हॅल्यू? K व्हॅल्यू इज 4 into 10 raised to minus 10. मला माहीत आहे म्हणून लिहितोय. जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस. K 4 into 10 raised to minus 10. अँड व्हॉट इज Kb? जे आत्तावरती बेस तर तोच आहे. मग Kb 1.8 into 10 raised to minus 5. काय रिलेशन दिसतंय तुम्हाला याच्यामध्ये? K आणि Kb मध्ये, K आणि Kb मध्ये काय? K is less than Kb. Which is comparatively stronger? Definitely base is comparatively stronger. Comparatively strong कुठला आहे? तर तो बेस आहे. आणि जिथं बेस comparatively strong असेल, that salt is the, what is nature of this salt or what is nature of this solution is basic. म्हणजे पहा, salt of weak acid आणि weak base, जसा तो वरती ॲसिडिक होता तसा तो इथे काय? बेसिक. इथे बेसिक असण्याचं रिझन काय? K व्हॅल्यू इज लेस दॅन Kb. म्हणजेच वीक ॲसिड आणि वीक बेस सॉल्ट, त्याचं सोल्युशन ॲसिडिक असेल की बेसिक असेल किंवा न्यूट्रल असेल, दॅट डिपेंड्स ऑन रिलेटिव्ह स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ ॲसिड अँड बेस. अँड नाऊ वन मोर एक्झाम्पल ऑफ द सेम सॉल्ट. One more example of same salt is the ammonium acetate. Ammonium acetate. Ammonium acetate. Ammonium acetate. CH3CO NH4 ammonium acetate. It is also salt of weak acid and weak base. इथं weak acid कुठला आहे? weak acid CH3COH. weak base कुठला आहे? that is NH4OH. आणि मी मुद्दाम अगोदर सांगून ठेवतो, K व्हॅल्यू इज 1.8 into 10⁻⁵. KB व्हॅल्यू इज 1.8 into 10⁻⁵. आता कुठलंही तुम्हाला जास्त रिप्रेझेंट करायची मला तरी आता गरज वाटत नाही, कारण इथंच क्लिअर आहे. बाकीचा सगळा पार्ट सेम असेल, कारण याच्यापासून ज्यावेळेस हा वॉटरसोबत रिॲक्ट होईल त्यावेळेस तो काय देईल? ॲसिटिक ॲसिड, ज्याची के व्हॅल्यू ॲसिडची किती आहे? 1.8. के म्हणजे माहिती आहे तुम्हाला, डिसोसिएशन कॉन्स्टंट ऑफ ॲसिड 1.8 into 10⁻⁵. के बी व्हॅल्यू ऑल्सो 1.8 into 10⁻⁵. and this, what is this? This is the dissociation constant of acid. Kb is the dissociation constant of base. And K and Kb are same. So as K value and Kb value जर सेम असेल तर नेचर ऑफ सोल्युशन काय असेल? न्यूट्रल. आणि म्हणून काय म्हटलंय आपण? this type of salt, what is nature of this type of solution is neutral. So this salt of weak acid and weak base may be acidic, may be basic, or also neutral. That is depends on relative strength of acids and bases. मग आता याच्यावरती तुम्हाला आणखी एक्झाम्पल विचारू शकतील. सपोज जर असं विचारलं तुम्हाला, व्हॉट इज दिस? कॉपर सल्फेट, ॲक्वेस सोल्युशन ऑफ कॉपर सल्फेट. असं एक्झाम्पल विचारलं कुठलंही, ॲक्वेस सोल्युशन ऑफ कॉपर सल्फेट. हा सॉल्ट आहे. हा कुठला सॉल्ट आहे? ॲक्वेस सोल्युशन ऑफ कॉपर सल्फेट. इट इज द सॉल्ट. इट इज द सॉल्ट ऑफ दॅट इज द स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड अँड वीक बेस. स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड आणि वीक बेस. व्हॉट टाईप ऑफ सॉल्ट? स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड अँड वीक बेस. स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड कुठला आहे? कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड. सॉरी, स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड कुठला आहे? H2SO4. स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड इज H2SO4. आणि वीक बेस कुठला आहे? कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड इज द वीक बेस. सो इट इज द सॉल्ट ऑफ स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड अँड वीक बेस. आणखी याच्यावरती बोर्डाला क्वेश्चन विचारलेला आहे पूर्वी. in aqueous solution of copper sulfate, small amount of H2SO4 is added. मग aqueous solution of copper sulfate मध्ये small amount of H2SO4 काय ॲड करतात? सिंपल क्वेश्चन आहे, 2 मार्क्ससाठी विचारला जाईल. सिंपल. सी दिस वन, CuSO4 copper sulfate with water, 2 moles of water, it gives copper hydroxide and H2SO4. मग आता H2SO4, what is this? It is the salt. What is this? It is the weak base. It is the strong acid. And this it forming the precipitation. म्हणजे जर तुम्ही कॉपर सल्फेटचं ॲक्वेस सोल्युशन तयार केलं तर तो H2SO4 आणि वीक बेस देईल. H2SO4 डिसोशिएट फॉर्ममध्ये असेल आणि हा कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड याचं काय असेल? प्रेसिपिटेट. ड्यू टू दिस सोल्युशन बिकम टर्बिड. सोल्युशन कसं होईल? टर्बिड. सो दॅट मेक इट क्लिअर सोल्युशन. मग आता टर्बिड सोल्युशनचं काय करायचं? टर्बिड म्हणजे थोडक्यात गढूळ असं म्हणू शकू आपण. सोल्युशन इज द टर्बिड ड्यू टू फॉर्मेशन ऑफ कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड. आणि ते क्लिअर करण्यासाठी स्मॉल अमाऊंट ऑफ H2SO4 ॲड करतात. का बरं? ड्यू टू ॲडिशन ऑफ H2SO4 दिस कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड गेट डिझॉल्व इन द H2SO4. म्हणजे कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड H2SO4 मध्ये काय होईल? डिझॉल्व होईल. आणि कॉपर हायड्रॉक्साईड जर H2SO4 मध्ये डिझॉल्व होत असेल तर काय की सोल्युशन क्लिअर होईल. आणि म्हणून लक्षात ठेवा, स्मॉल अमाऊंट ऑफ H2SO4 इज ॲडेड इन ॲक्वेस सोल्युशन ऑफ कॉपर सल्फेट. MCQ घेताना आपण हा सगळा पार्ट आणखी काही डिटेल मी तुम्हाला त्यावेळेस एक्सप्लेन करणार आहेच. आणि आयनिक इक्विलिब्रिया हा टॉपिक पूर्वी जुन्या सिलेबसमध्ये 12वीच्या परीक्षेसाठी असायचा. आत्ता जो सिलेबस बदलला आहे यावर्षी परत आयनिक इक्विलिब्रिया हा टॉपिक नव्याने आपल्या सिलेबसमध्ये 12वीसाठी इन्क्लूड झालेला आहे. सो हिअर वी कंप्लीट द हायड्रॉलिसिस ऑफ सॉल्ट. आउट ऑफ दिस 4 टाइप ऑफ सॉल्ट, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर सॉल्ट ऑफ स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड अँड स्ट्रॉंग बेस नॉट अंडरगोज हायड्रॉलिसिस. बाकीच्या 3ही सॉल्टचं काय होईल? हायड्रॉलिसिस होईल. हायड्रॉलिसिस म्हणजेच काय, कॅटायन or anion or both the ions of salt react with water to produce acidity and basicity. So this is known as the hydrolysis. Okay, and now next part, here we complete the hydrolysis of salt. Now next part of this chapter is the buffer solution. Buffer solution. This part is also very important. So what is the buffer solution? Buffer solution म्हणजे काय? One of the simple example of buffer solution is the blood. Blood is also buffer solution. So what is the buffer solution? ज्याचा pH constant राहील. The solution which has constant pH and which resists to sudden change in its pH by adding the small amount of strong acid and strong base is known as the buffer solution. Buffer solution कशाला म्हणायचं? What is the buffer solution? Buffer solution हे असं सोल्युशन असेल की त्याचा its pH remain constant for a long time. And if we add the small amount of strong acid, जर त्या बफर सोल्युशन मध्ये आपण थोडंसं जरी स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड ॲड केलं किंवा थोडंसं जरी स्ट्रॉंग बेस ॲड केलं तर याचा pH चेंज होत नाही. Its pH not change by addition of small amount of strong acid and strong base, म्हणजे small amount. नाहीतर असं नाही चालणार की हा बफर सोल्युशन, this is the buffer solution whose volume is 500 ml and add the 1 liter of strong acid. pH not remain constant. pH केव्हा constant राहील? Due to addition of small amount of strong acid and strong base. So first, what is the buffer solution? What is the buffer solution? The solution which has constant pH. The solution which has constant pH, or the solution whose pH, the solution, what is the buffer solution? It is the solution. It is the solution. What is? It is the solution whose pH remains constant. Whose pH remains constant and which resist or it resists to sudden change in its pH, sudden change in its pH by adding small amount of strong acid or strong base. So what is the buffer solution? The solution whose pH remain constant and which resists to sudden change in its pH by adding the small amount of strong acid and strong base is known as the buffer solution. So what is the buffer solution? The solution whose pH remains constant and which resists to sudden change in its pH by adding the small amount of strong acid and strong base. Types of buffer solution. Types of buffer solution. Types of buffer solution. How many types of buffer solution? Actually, there are 3 types of buffer solution. Which are that 3 types of buffer solution? Acidic buffer, second basic buffer, and third single salt buffer. Single salt buffer. Our syllabus not including this third type of buffer, single salt buffer. त्यामुळे मी हे 2 तुम्हाला सांगणार आहे. Just remember त्याचं example. Single salt buffer, it is the salt of weak acid and weak base. Single salt buffer कशाला म्हणायचं? Salt of weak acid आणि weak base. हे फक्त माहीत असावं. आपल्या सिलेबसमध्ये ॲसिडिक बफर आणि बेसिक बफर आहेत. Single salt buffer, it is the mixture or it is the solution of salt of weak acid and weak base. Even तुम्ही यालाही म्हणू शकता ammonium acetate solution of ammonium acetate is also known as the single salt buffer. So how many types of buffer solution? 3 types. आपल्याला consider किती करायचे? Only 2. Acidic buffer. What is the buffer solution? The solution whose pH remains constant and which resists to sudden change in its pH by adding the small amount of strong acid and strong base. This is known as the buffer solution, and to keep the constant pH is known as the buffer action. हा जो pH constant राहतो याला काय म्हणायचं? बफर ॲक्शन. दिस प्रोसेस इज नोन ॲज द बफर ॲक्शन. म्हणजेच काय की जर तुम्ही एखादं बफर सोल्युशन घेतलं आणि त्याच्यामध्ये स्मॉल अमाऊंट ऑफ स्ट्रॉंग ॲसिड किंवा स्ट्रॉंग बेस ॲड केला तरी याचा pH काय राहतो? कॉन्स्टंट राहतो. त्याला बफर सोल्युशन म्हणायचं. आणि हा pH जो कॉन्स्टंट राहतो त्या प्रोसेसला काय म्हणायचं? बफर ॲक्शन. So this is the buffer action. So there are 2 types of buffer solution. Which are the 2 types of buffer solution? Here actually 3. आपल्याला घ्यायचे किती? 2. So which are the 2 types of buffer solution? Here one is the acidic buffer. So what is the acidic buffer? Acidic buffer काय असणार आहे? Acidic buffer it is the first acidic buffer म्हणजेच काय? Whose pH definitely less than 7 is the acidic buffer. नावातच आहे. जर बफर ॲसिडिक असेल तर त्याचा pH कसा असायला पाहिजे? लेस दॅन 7. द सोल्युशन हुज pH इज लेस दॅन 7 इट इज द ॲसिडिक बफर. ते कसं ते सांगतो किंवा हाऊ टू प्रिपेअर द ॲसिडिक बफर. ॲसिडिक बफर इट इज द मिक्सचर ऑफ ॲसिडिक बफर इज द मिक्सचर ऑफ weak acid and its salt of strong base. For example, acetic acid or mixture of weak acid. Acetic acid is weak acid. त्याचा सॉल्ट घ्यायचा. कोणासोबत घ्यायचा? स्ट्रॉंग बेस सोबत. मग ते ॲसिटिक ॲसिड रिॲक्ट विथ स्ट्रॉंग बेस NaOH. मग तो काय देईल? CH3CONa. So acetic acid. What is this acetic acid? Acetic acid is the weak acid. Sodium acetate is the salt of weak acid with its strong base, and this buffer is known as the acidic buffer. Its pH of this buffer solution is 4.74. What is the pH of this buffer solution? 4.74. म्हणजेच याचा pH काय असेल? लेस दॅन 7. आणि म्हणून याला काय म्हणायचं? ॲसिडिक बफर. देन सेकंड टाइप ऑफ बफर इज द बेसिक बफर. So what is the basic buffer? Basic buffer it is the mixture of weak base and its salt of strong acid. Mixture of weak base and its salt of strong acid. For example, NH4OH is the weak base and NH4Cl is the salt of weak base with strong acid. NH4OH हा झाला weak base. त्याचा strong base बरोबरचा salt कुठला? NH4Cl. And this is the basic buffer whose pH is greater than 7. What is this? It is the mixture of weak base and salt of strong acid whose actual pH is 9.250, and therefore this solution is known as the basic buffer. So this is the acidic buffer. This is the basic buffer. Acidic buffer is the mixture of weak acid and its salt of strong base whose pH less than 7. Basic buffer is the mixture of weak base and its salt of strong acid. An example is in front of you whose pH is more than 7. Here we see the acidic buffer and basic buffer, and how to prepare the buffer solution at desired pH. For that we use that is Henderson-Handel-Batch equation. So this Henderson-Handel-Batch equation we will discuss in next period. Today we stop here.